Have you ever wondered how Spotify became the king in music streaming? With its massive library of songs and easy-to-use interface, it's no wonder that millions of people around the world have become loyal users of the platform. But what if I told you that there's more to this story than meets the eye? In this video, we'll take a closer look at the illegal rise of Spotify and the controversial practices that have allowed the company to become a major player in the music industry. From exploiting legal loopholes to engaging in streaming fraud, Spotify's journey to the top has been far from straightforward. So, if you're ready to learn more about the dark side of music streaming, let's dive in. Let's start by looking at how Spotify got started. Spotify was founded in Sweden in 2006 by Daniel Ek and Martin Lauritsen. The company's goal was to create a legal alternative to illegal music downloading, which was rampant at the time. Spotify quickly gained popularity thanks in part to its easy-to-use interface and vast library of music. The company also offered a free ad-supported version of its service, which helped to attract users who might not have been willing to pay for a subscription. But despite its early success, Spotify faced a major problem. The company was not profitable. One of the main reasons for this was the high cost of licensing music from record labels and publishers. Spotify had to pay royalties to these entities for each song it streamed, which ate into the company's revenue. To address this, Spotify turned to illegal practices. The company engaged in what is known as grey area licensing, which involves exploiting legal loopholes to avoid paying full royalties to artists and songwriters. One example of this is Spotify's use of the mechanical license loophole. Mechanical licenses are required for reproducing and distributing copyrighted musical compositions. However, in the early days of music streaming, there was no established royalty rate for mechanical licenses. Spotify took advantage of this by negotiating directly with musical publishers to pay lower than standard rates for mechanical licenses. This allowed the company to pay less to songwriters and keep more money for itself. Another illegal practice that Spotify engaged in was streaming fraud. Streaming fraud involves artificially inflating the number of streams for a particular song to boost its popularity and increase the amount of money paid out in royalties. Spotify was accused of engaging in streaming fraud by creating fake user accounts and using them to stream songs repeatedly. The company was also accused of partnering with so-called streaming farms in countries like China and Russia, where workers would be paid to stream songs 24/7. These illegal practices have had a significant impact on the music industry, particularly on independent artists who struggle to make a living from their music. Many artists have spoken out against Spotify's royalty model, which they argue is unfair and unsustainable. Despite the controversy, Spotify continues to dominate the music streaming market. The company's user base has continued to grow and has expanded its offerings to include podcasts, audiobooks, and other types of content. But as consumers, we have the power to hold Spotify accountable for its actions. We can demand that the company pays fair royalties to artists and songwriters, and that it operates within the bounds of the law. There are several ways we can do this. We can boycott Spotify and switch to other music streaming platforms that pay artists better. We can also support independent artists by buying their music directly, attending their concerts, and sharing their work on social media. We can also put pressure on lawmakers and regulators to hold Spotify accountable for its actions. We can write to our representatives and demand that they investigate Spotify's business practices and ensure that the company pays fair royalties to artists and songwriters. The rise of Spotify may have been controversial and even illegal at times, but there's no denying the impact that the platform has had on the music industry and our everyday lives. As consumers, it's important that we continue to hold Spotify accountable for their actions and demand fair treatment for the artists and songwriters who make the music we love. So what can we do? We can support independent artists by attending their shows, buying their merch, and streaming their music on platforms that pay fair royalties. And we can also put pressure on Spotify and other streaming services to do better by speaking out and demanding change. Thank you for watching this video on the illegal rise of Spotify. If you found it informative, please give it a like and share it with your friends. And don't forget to subscribe to our channel for more thought-provoking content. Until next time, keep questioning the status quo and seeking the truth.